Gonna talk candidly about things. It's talking candidly with Camera. We're gonna talk candidly about things. It's talking candidly with Camera. Talking candidly with Camera. Okay, so I do want to preface this by saying my audio quality may not be the best. I do apologize for that. Homegirl will have that fixed. I won't say very soon, but I will say soon, okay? Welcome to I was about to say Awkwardly Acceptable podcast. Welcome to Talking Candidly with Camera. I am your host, Camera Brielle, and we are going to be talking candidly. No, I did not change the intro music. I haven't, how we talked about productivity and getting things done. I did get my planner. I have to make it look better than what it looks, but I've still been a little slacky, but not too slacky. I have been doing things. Sometimes I just lay in bed, but all of my things have been getting done, which is, you got to take the big things with the small things. Okay, so this will not be a long episode. I really don't have anything to talk about. If you know me, then today is October 25th. 2 years ago today, my mother passed away. On Wednesday, I was at work. I don't really want to talk about her life today because I don't really this day shouldn't get the satisfaction of discussing her life because it's just October 25th. You discuss her life on her birthday or Mother's Day or a day that actually would have meant something when she was alive as well. I guess what I want to talk about is the complete we're not going to talk about the complete and utter breakdown that I had, but we are just going to talk about the many feelings that I've felt in these 2 years. 2 years exactly. So obviously there was a feeling of shock, when it first happened. It was a feeling of shock. It was a feeling of, honestly, you don't even get to those feelings that are long lasting, the feelings where this person that I've spent so much time with is actually gone. You don't really feel like that in the beginning stages of grief because you're not in grief. I wasn't going through grief on the 25th. I was sad. Yeah, I was sad. But it was the day that it happened. So it wasn't it's just everybody understands the concept of death. So when you think of it as the concept of death and that the person is gone, then of course you feel sad and you feel these emotions, but you don't get into the deep emotions my whole life is about to change, because depending on how close that person you and the person were, you basically could die with them. And I can honestly say that I died that day as well. I don't see myself ever being the same person that I was before. And I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a bad thing. I'm just a different person. But I could never be that same person that I was. The person that I was, when I texted my mother or when my mama texted me on October 24th, at around 8 or 9, that person is gone. It's so weird because the days leading up to what happened is so foggy to me. Like, I look at my camera and I look through my pictures, and it's just like things are so weird. They're so weird. It's like I remember being at work. I remember seeing we this girl I worked with, we went down to look at this salt, because I think it was called like hot ass salt, and I think I took a picture of it. And I had just gotten some red shoes. I remember I got those on like the 22nd, and I was starting to like wrap my hair with leggings, because I remember my grandmother telling me that my mother told her, and all of that. And I remember the Sunday before it happened, I had an employee meeting, which really just annoyed me. And I asked my mother to come and get me, and she came and got me in my grandmother's truck. I remember that. I remember she had on a hat. I remember stuff like that, but it just seems as though all of that stuff, like, even though it happened at like the end of the month, it seems like all of that stuff just runs together. Like, all of just October just runs together. And it just is just nothing. And I don't know if Thanksgiving is going to be on the 25th this year, but I know that it was, or if it's always on the 25th. I don't know. I don't really give a fuck right now. But I do know that the 25th, 11/25 was Thanksgiving, and then 12/25 was obviously Christmas, and that was literally like 1 month and 2 months, and it was just it took me, I'm not gonna say it took me a minute, because I'm still in the process of not thinking that this was just some really like fucked up shitty thing to do. And it's just really fucked up and shitty, So it was like, of course, my mother is gone when it's like now about to be her favorite time of the year. And of course, it was just weird. It was a really weird situation that I was taking I didn't know how to deal with it. And I had been, basically, I just felt like everybody in my life couldn't, it was just so weird. It was weird. It was like, none of these people are my mother. I remember after the funeral and we went to the repast, and I was just like, none of these people, like, even it was so weird because like my husband was there, and like, my grandmother, my auntie, my cousins, all them people, even my father, like, all them motherfuckers was there. But it was like, I did not really feel comfortable, and I've never had that sense of like comfort that I like experienced with my mother. And I was eating the food, and the food didn't taste the best. And I was just thinking about like the little things. Like, it clicked with me. Her funeral was November 2nd at her elementary school. So it clicked with me that was going to be the last time that I saw my mama regardless, and that it was such a weird experience, because when we went to go see her after, when she was in the funeral home to make sure that everything was right, it was this feeling of excitement to go see her, because I had not physically seen her in how many ever days. Like, that's the longest. I mean, I went to Florida with my grandmother, and my great grandmother. And, I always, like, I couldn't even spend the night over my grandmother's house all the time. Because in the middle of the night, I would start to cry. And I would just cry. And I would be like, I need to go home. And my grandmother would have to take me home. And I would come home and I would just be there with my mama. And like when we went to Florida, and I remember my mama said that she fell at my grandmother's house and she hit her head. And I was just like panicking because I'm like, I'm not there. And I'm young, but I'm just like, I'm not there. I can't. Are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? So it just felt like I was able to see her. And it's a really weird feeling because like that's just the vessel. That's not her. I mean, yeah, it's her, but that's not her. But it was just this feeling of excitement to see her, to look at her and be like, wow, like I still am able to see you. And I got it. I got it like the funeral was going to be the last time. And regardless of if she was buried or if she was cremated, that's it. And then it started to sink in. It was just the silence. It was the weirdest thing because I didn't have to tell my mother about my life. Like, obviously I told her things, but like it was so weird. It was so weird having to tell my auntie or my grandmother about the classes that I'm taking or about this or about that or like just little things. It was so weird to me because I never had to, like, my mama just knew. Like it was just weird. It's like you really just lose. You just lose it. All of the things that me and my mother used to share when we lived together. Well, when we lived together. When I lived with her, because I was her child. Like, all of those things are just gone. Like, it was this man who used to come on Bravo long time ago. He was a hairstylist. And his name was Jonathan. And Jonathan used to go to a therapist and they used to see him cry. And he used to cry a lot. And me and my mother would just be cracking up laughing about that. And I felt like things like that I just started to remember after it was like too late for me to say anything about it. Because there was no indication. We used to watch Will and Grace, and I can't remember his name, but the little short man who, Karen, if you watch Will and Grace, Karen, I don't know who else Karen, I don't know her name. Her name is Karen. Karen used to dislike. We used to love that man. It's just like little things, just like like nobody understood how funny it is when we were watching the Andy Griffith Show and Barney sat up here and they told Barney to sing a cappella and that man started saying a cappella. Like, you don't understand how funny that was. Watching I Love Lucy, like all of that stuff was hilarious. And it just felt so empty. And I ain't gonna lie, it still felt a little bit empty, It still feels a lot empty. But I think the best thing was that I've started to go to therapy. And I started to not only have an outlet to talk about this extremely difficult situation that I was going through, but like have just someone to listen to me talk about other things and talk about the things that were going on before my mother passed away, and then my mother passed and made it even worse. Like, yeah, homegirl was in a spiraling depression, okay, y'all? Like, dead ass. Not even gonna joke. Homegirl was in a spiraling depression. Homegirl was having horrible dreams. When I tell you the dreams were horrible, I don't want to talk about the dreams, but the dreams were absolutely horrible. They weren't, oh Lord Jesus, they were horrible. And after that, I think I had that last dream and I was like, okay, I need to go to therapy. Because it was just I was literally being broken down. And I felt myself like at my wit's end to the point where it was like I'm dealing with outside influences and outside like hardships. I'm dealing with this very permanent thing that's in my life. And I'm like also fighting myself. So like I felt like everything was working against me, and I didn't feel like there was anything that I could do. So when I went to therapy, it was cool. It was able to just help me, and I was able to open up. And I don't think, obviously, I'm not like, a star lady, or like not a procrastinator anymore. Like I still got the same issues. But I do feel like if my mother knew who I am now, she'd be okay, I feel like it's always sad because when I think about, that point when if you have a good relationship with your mother, where like, okay, my mom was getting on my nerves, she was getting on my nerves, and now I'm grown and she not really getting on my nerves because she not really like telling me what to do. So like then we can like talk about things, and then we talk about things, and then we laugh about things, and then we text about things, and it's like, whoa, this lady is like a cool lady. And I was in the beginning, we were in the beginning stages, or like, the beginning to the beginning end stages of like, oh, this lady, this okay, I might hit you up and say what's up to you, a couple times, like she was cool. She was, she was all right, and I think that's the biggest thing. Because I know that it was like literally just the beginning of our relationship. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I can't say. It's not like when my great grandmother passed away. Like she was in pain and like she had been through a lot of surgeries. Like it wasn't like that. So I don't ever see myself being okay with the fact that she's not here, because it's not like she was dealing with an illness. It's not like she was in and out of the hospital. It's not like any of that. Okay, she was at work. And that's really difficult to face. It was a lot of things that I had to get over. A lot of things I had to get over. A lot of things I had to remind myself, just. It was just a lot of things that I was going through. And I feel like this situation made me want to, first off, have more than one child. That's number one. Because I don't know. I just felt like it would have been such a smoother process, if that makes sense, if I was able to lean on someone who knew my mother in the same way that I knew her. Like, yeah, people know her. Well, my auntie knows her as her sister. My grandmother knows her as her daughter. But, like, nobody knew my mother as my mother, you know? Like, so, yeah. It made me want to have more than one child. And it also made me realize that what I went through wasn't great. The experience of losing my mother and then all of the stuff that came after it. And I just wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I feel like the people around me really dropped the ball. And it's hard to not be a little bit, not have animosity when you feel like, if I was in this situation, you know, and if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't be an ass. And I feel like it was a defining moment in my life. It was a defining moment in my life. Not the fact that my mother lost her life. Because, you know, I sit here and I can talk about all of the ways that it affected me, but like dead ass, my mother is not here anymore. The dreams and the hopes and the aspirations that she had, she can't achieve them. And at the end of the day, that's what pisses me off. That's what pisses me off. The fact that my mama, that Monday, we talked and she was like, I'm like, Ma, if you want to go back to school, go back to school. She said she had credits. I'm like, Ma, do it. And just so many things that I know she wanted to do. And she couldn't do them. And I'm very sad. But it really pisses me off to know that not the majority, but like 18 years of her life was spent raising me. Yeah, I know I'm her daughter. I get it. Yeah, I understand. But 18 years was spent raising me, and then she didn't even get a full 5 to herself. Like, that's the shit that makes me angry. Makes me really angry. And I think that's what I'll never get over. It's not like she was sick, not like she was in and out of the hospital. It's not like any of that. She was just a lady at work, living her life. And that's fucked up. It's fucked up. And yes, the world is fucked up. I understand, but no, that's fucked up. That's the biggest thing. That's what pisses me off. That's why I was so angry. Because I sat here and I couldn't even just hear her. Yeah, her stories would get on my damn nerves sometimes. Just like my stories would get on her damn nerves sometimes. But damn, I couldn't even hear about her stories from work. I couldn't even get sent pictures from her friends no more. Like, I couldn't get any of that. And that pisses me off. That a lady who was fucking young couldn't even finish the rest of her life. And some bullshit took her life. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So, I don't know if I feel like I have learned things. But I still sometimes feel like I feel the same. You know? I feel the same. I don't feel the same toward myself, but I do feel the same about the situation. I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think that will ever change. But I didn't want this to be a long episode. I know it's not really ideal and it's not really a happy episode. But I'm not really in the mood to give y'all, other things. Yeah, but if you want to hear good things about my mother, then you should click on the birthday episode from Awkwardly Acceptable Podcast, where I talk about good things about her, because I'm not going to get this day the satisfaction of having to talk about my mama. I'm not. Not in that way. This day was the end of her life and the end of mine too. And I think that it's a day of mourning. And if I understand that may not be the way to look at things. But in the space that I'm in, I think that is the way to look at things right now. This is a day of mourning. It was a Wednesday. And I think it was like before 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, before 11 o'clock. I remember the day, I remember the dream, I remember all of that stuff. Like, it's so vivid. It's so vivid. But you all, I'm perfectly fine. I'm not feeling sad or anything. It's 8 o'clock at night. I've been able to just, be calm today and just be able to do things that I need to do and not put a lot of pressure on myself. So I will not be talking about this anymore. Just know everything that's good came from my mama or my mama's side of the family. So, yeah. And as long as I am able to speak and as long as I'm able to talk about my mama, y'all always gonna hear about her. So, yeah. So, yeah. I'm done. I'm going to get off of here and probably do the rest of my schoolwork. So sorry for the somber tone of this talking candidly. I know that it's late, but we don't know. We working out a schedule. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all when I talk to y'all. So yeah.